Elden Ring! The game of the year so far. We don't know what's coming out next, but I've decided, you know what, people are talking about the bosses, who's the coolest boss. What I want to know, and what I want to inform the viewers, is who is the best character? Who is the best NPC from Elden Ring? Because there are, as you can see, there are a few to go off of. Quite a few to go off of. But who is the coolest character? We'll get to bosses later, but it's important to know who the best character is to inform all your opinions on who the best character is. Let's cut to the chase, okay? Albus. Little Albinauric? Maybe? Albinauric. One of those guys. People created to be workers. Apparently they have no soul. He's down on his luck, but he is incredibly important in the Halling Tree quest. I should probably say spoilers. Spoilers for Elden Ring. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but spoilers. So, Albus, important for the Halling Tree quest. He hides in a pot. Pots are important in the game. So, I am going to pop him. You know what, I think he's a bit of a C character. He's nice, he's helpful, he's still got his wits about him. Alexander, Potboy, Jar Jar Binks. This guy, his whole story is awesome, but also ends rather sadly. But it's a full arc. This man goes around the ringer, helps you fight Radahn, you find him in some lava, solidifying his strength, and then eventually, in Farum Azula, you take his life because he wants to challenge you as the greatest warrior in the current generation, which we are, as we are the Elden Lord. So I'm going to put Alexander. Alexander's A. He's not S tier, but he is great. He's a lot of fun. He's great fun. Bernal. This guy, working for the Honorable Volcano Manor. Great place. Love it. Excellent summer vacay spot. But he doesn't really do much. And then, so he's there at Volcano Manor, just sitting there judging you. With an awesome hammer, mind you. And then you fight him later on at Farum Azula. No idea how he gets there. But you know what, for the armor, just for the armor's sake, I think it's really cool. I'm gonna chuck him a C with Albus. Big Bogart. Prawn Man, prawn connoisseur himself. Possible ally or past ally with the Dung Eater. He's alright. I didn't really do much of his quest because he didn't interest me too much. I mean, he just sits there cooking pots. He steals from Redacted. We'll talk about her in a bit. Which is a bad move. You don't steal from her. But I'm gonna put him a D. He's just not that interesting to me. You know, it's not that interesting to him. Now, Blithe. And it is Blithe, I believe. Let me double check that. Yes, Blithe. He's the best boy. I'm gonna have to put him. Blithe is S tier, right? He doesn't deserve what happens to him, but it makes sense, and it's a full arc. I hope that we get more of his story and his background in possible further DLCs, but we'll find out. Bok. The little seamstress that could, with multiple endings. Now this guy, he's going in A. That's not even a choice. He gets turned into a tree. He's had lots of trials and tribulations just because he wants to be a seamster to the Elden Lord. And you know what? He gets to be a seamster to the Elden Lord. He achieves his goal, and he is beautiful. Now, Corhin. The hell's Corhin's story? Now, Corhin seems kind of he's kind of meh. You know, he has his interesting story with Gold Mask, and then leading to the perfect the perfect Golden Order ending. But he just doesn't catch me as an interesting person, right? He's just there wearing the wheel around his neck. I mean, interesting fashion choice for sure, but I'm just gonna put him at C. Yeah, C. All right. Dialos, sad boy. emo man, whip connoisseur, the lesser brother. This man, I'm going to put him at a B. He struggled through his life, consistently thinking he's a failure, incredibly easily influenced by others, but he's honest, he's hardworking, he just wants to do what's right. He just wants to be seen as good. And you know what? He does good. He protects the pot village, the pot town, Jarburg. He does a good job. And for that he gets a B. He gets a B. Now moving on from B to D, move on to D's nuts. D. This man, the hater of the undead, working with the beast clergyman. Now, he has one hell of an interesting armor set. Like, you can't deny that armor set. He has, his... What's the word I'm looking for? Fashion sense, that's it. But his fashion sense is on point. But, you know, I don't like his attitude. He seems very uppity, very judgmental. And so for that, he's going into D. Now moving on from D, we got D's brother. We got D's nuts. Sorry. Two in such quick succession. Never been done before. D's brother, I mean, you don't know much about him. I know he met with Godwin's corpse and it absolutely fucked him up. And means he's just sitting there, hands on his head, having an existential crisis. Now, I can understand an existential crisis. We all go through one of those, you know, every now and then. But apart from that, he doesn't really do much except kill fear if you give him D's armor. So, you know, for that, he goes into D as well. The D family in D. It just fits too well. I mean, come on. Speaking of D, Dung Eater. Now, this is might be a bit controversial, but I'm gonna put him in B tier. Now, hold on. I know what you're thinking. Kip, why are you putting Dung Eater, probably one of the most evil characters in FromSoft history, at a B? Because he's a great villain. He's a great villain to love to hate. Like the joy that I had from just finding him in his cell, knowing he had a storyline, and just killing him. Because he's a piece of shit. It's in the name. But I killed him. I took his armor. It was pretty good. The sword's alright. But it felt great. And for that, I'm going to give him a B. Great character. You need strong villains. And he gave us that. Now, Edgar. Father of the Year, maybe? No. This guy, honor before family. And for that, even for that, he's going into D. I mean, like, actually, you know what? Does he go into F? I mean, who would go? You know what? I am going to put him into F. Just losing your daughter for your own pride and then losing your mind because of it. It's just weak mindset. Weak mindset. Now, Enya, the finger reader for the two fingers in the circle, the circle, the round table hold. My God, how did I forget that? Now, we don't know much about her. She's just one of the many finger readers that are apparently immortal. Like, I don't know. I'm just going to put her in D because you just don't know enough about her. The character design is okay, but whatever. Now, Ensha, the silent assassin, the I'm too cool to talk ever, but with one badass set of armor. I'm gonna have to pop him up in C. Fear, the only character in any game to actually give you a hug. Now for that, A. I love her storyline as well. The fact that she has this crazy ability to hug you and absorb part of your soul and then build up all of this soul energy and then die next to someone as their deathbed companion, giving them an extra life. It's crazy. And and how she's so devoted to Godwin and wanting to bring him back as the god of the dead. It's awesome. And it's just a great storyline. Yeah. Gideon, this asshole. Okay, so we got Dung Eater. Dung Eater. Great villain, love to hate. Gideon, horrible villain, hate to hate him. Arrogant, just sits there. He's useful for the lore. Like, he gives you, like, you know, just interesting little tidbits of lore. But he's just an arrogant, all-knowing prick, right? So he's going into F. You know, Gideon can go fuck himself. Right? I said it. Gold Mask. Now this guy's interesting. Because, you know, he never talks. He just points. And you find him at interesting points. And he works with our friend Korhin. Where is he? Where's Korhin? There he is, Korhin. Works with him to, you know, create the perfect Elden Ring, the perfect Golden Order. But apart from that, like, I mean, it's a cool design. I'm gonna have to pop him in C, right? Because it's an interesting choice. And I find his character intriguing, just not intriguing enough to be more than a C. Okay. Gostok the bastard. Again, here we are. Little conniving little bastard. Conniving little bitch. Gostok. I think Gostok can go for a C as well. Gostok gets a C. He's interesting. Actually, no, you know what? Gostok goes up to a B. He goes up to a B. Because there's so many things... He actually affects your gameplay quite easily. Like, you know, if you don't kill him in Stormvale Castle, every time you die, he just steals a little bit of your souls because he's a little bastard. But then he's like, oh, no, I got these gifts for you, don't worry. And then at the end, you kill Godric? And then you see him just stomping his head into the ground like a fucking boss. Hell yeah. Alright, Gostok's B. Gostok's is 100% B. Gowry. This guy interests me. This guy's going into A. And here is my logic. Right? He shows up in this shack. He gives you all of this information about Millicent, who will come up later. All this, but you know, how does he know these things? How does he know these things? All about Millicent and the Scarlet Rot. And you follow his quest line, you end up with Millicent, one of the other really cool characters, and you go through her quest line, but he started it. And then, most interesting enough, is if you ever kill him, he's not angry. He doesn't fight back. He just dies. He's just disappointed in you. But when he dies, you find out that it wasn't actually him in the first place. He wasn't there. It was one of those prawn motherfuckers. He was using that as like a conduit for himself. So we don't actually know who he really is. And he's still alive. He's still in the game somewhere. Somewhere in the world, Gowry still exists, serving, I believe, Melania. Possibly even the outer god of rot. So interesting. I want to know more. Give me more. Give me more of Gowry. Okay, Garonk. Now, I just want to double check. No, he is not. Okay, Garonk, aka, spoilers, Malekith, the Black Blade. This guy, fucking, again, another A character. Such an interesting character in the lore as well, with how he was betrayed by, oh my god, what the hell was her name again? Marika! My god, how did I forget Marika's name? Betrayed by Marika, who he was her shadow. He seals the rune of death in himself so it can never be stolen again, then goes on a crusade to kill as much of the undead as possible because he feels responsible for it and he needs to absorb as much death as he can to remake the rune of death. And then, when you fight him in the boss, as a boss, I should say, and you get him down to half health and he just reveals himself as Malekith the Black Blade. He looks awesome! Probably one of the most badass designs in the entire game. And he just pulls out this massive Black Blade. I mean, no wonder the other demigods were terrified of him. Reckon I would be too if I saw him in real life. My god. Alright. Hugh. Okay, Hugh S tier. That's not even under discussion. This man is a legend. This man deserves a medal. This man deserves to live. This man deserves everything. He works so hard for us, upgrading our weapons. It's like, do I even need to go on about him? And he's got this like interesting backstory where it looks like he made a deal with Marika. And so he gets sealed in the Round Table Hold, or at least the image of the Round Table Hold. It's so interesting. I love him. He just deserves all the love. Hieta. Hieta is going... I feel like... Actually, no. Hieta... I'm going to throw in Hieta into B. Only character really to all be about the frenzied flame. You see her and she's like, please, I want to... She starts off with such wholesome needs. All she wants to be is a finger maiden. And she's asking you to help her. And so she's asking, can I get one of those Shibriri grapes? And you're like, Shibriri, that sounds interesting, but okay. I found one before. I'll feed. Yeah, here, have a Shibriri grape. And she's like, oh, thank you, I love it. And then you find another Shibriri grape. And then you're like, okay, you know, she really liked these Shibriri grapes. I wonder what they are. Oh. They be eyeballs. Specifically eyeballs of people who have fallen to the frenzied flame. But you know what? You give it to her anyway, because she's like, I want them. And then as she goes on, she finds out what they are, and then she has an existential crisis. Second existential crisis so far. But she decides, you know what? The frenzied flame is the way to go. And she follows it through all the way to the end. She tries to absorb the frenzied flame. She tries to become your finger maiden, but dies in the process. Sad. But interesting character. I love her. Iggy. Now, this might be a little bit controversial, but I am going to put Iggy in D. Now, hear me out. I'm putting him there because he's a stuck in the mud, and he's a little bit of a know-it-all, right? He's the War Master for Rani, I should say. Friend of Blithe. He is cool and all, and he does help level it up, but he just kind of sits there and does nothing with all this information he has. And then, by his own admission, he gets a lot of these things wrong, even when he has all the information. So it's not interesting to me. He doesn't succeed, ever. Moving on. Irina. Daughter of Edgar. Irina, I'll throw Irina in C. She's a good, just, middle of the ground NPC. A little bit of tragic story. She can't really see properly. And she's kicked out of the castle because, all of that story with Castle Morn and the demi-humans revolting, and she's just eventually dies because her father Edgar, who is in F tier for deserved reasons, and this is the reason, values his honor over her safety, and she dies because of it. And so she's a good, this is a good little story within the world. Nothing super big, nothing super important, much more down to earth. And we need those in the game. It can't all be world-shattering revelations and characters that are OP as fuck. Now, Charbonne, this guy, I love Charbonne. Look at him. He's just, every time I talk to him, I just leave with a smile. He's just a happy little jar. He wants to adventure. He has little delusions of grandeur. I love the accent he has. Somewhere in Britain, I don't know where. I'm sure someone could tell me. He's just great. Charbonne is A. Jaron. Now, Jaron is an interesting character. Now, you first see him you meet him in Castle... What castle is he at? Redmane Castle. There we go. That's it. My brain kicked into gear. You find him at Redmane Castle, either when you go there to fight Starscourge Redan, or before that, where you just fight your way through the castle and you meet him after defeating the double boss, right? And he's just sitting there with his awesome, very Gale-like outfit. And then he gives you the story of Starscourge Redan, seeing that Jaron seems to be, at least this point, his, I don't know. I can't remember, it was close confidant, like a lieutenant, so to speak. And then he also has a very interesting relationship with Seren. Oh, sorry, Selen. It's never explained why he goes after Selen like he does. But it's intriguing. And I like his story. So he will go to B. Plus, wearing his armor is cool. You get to be an old man regardless of what your character looks like. Now, Kenneth. Kenneth Height. Lord of Limgrave. This man, over the top nobleman, but with a good heart. All he wants to do is serve his people well. And he's even, he's not mad at the demi-humans. He's like, look, I can talk to them. We can work this out. We can work together peacefully. It's all good. And then he's just sad that he can't fulfill his end of the bargain because his castle is a mess. It's a mess. So, and then eventually he teams up and he crowns the new Lord of Stormkeep, which we'll get to. Now, you know what? So Kenneth gets a good B. Good on you, Kenneth. Good on you, Kenneth. All right, Litena. Now, not much of a shorter story related to Albus. I don't know in what way. Maybe a daughter or a granddaughter of something. But she's also one of the Albinorics, so she can't move. She can't move anywhere because her legs don't work. So she rides her wolf, who at some point I believe was killed by one of fucking Gideon's goons. Another reason why he's in fucking F. And so now she's stuck where she is in the map. I'm not going to say where she is. You can find that yourself. But when you convince her to team up, she gives you one half of the Haligtree emblem to get there. And she becomes a really cool not Ash of War, summon for you to use. And then eventually you can take her to meet... who is it again? That's right. You take her to meet her giant towering sister, one of the other Albinorics. And she gives part of her life force to help that quest along. And then she fights with you to the bitter end. So you know what, Litena, you can get a B as well. You're pretty cool, Litena. Melina. Easy. Super easy. I've been a bit flip-floppy with Melina, to be honest. At the start she was interesting and then she lost me for a little bit as more characters came in and they had more interesting stories. But the more I spent thinking about Melina and the more I spent talking to her, the different sites of grace, she becomes an interesting character. She's very honest with you. She just wants to work hard with you to achieve the goals. And she's all about finding out what her purpose is, especially with her interesting flame scars. Like, why was she brought into existence? Is she a alternate version of Marika, like Millicent is, or is she like a daughter of Marika, like Millicent is like a daughter of Melania? Is this how it is? Or was she just straight created by Marika? Or who was... Because she was, I believe, created by Marika. So, almost for the explicit purpose, possibly, to burn the Erd Tree because of the burn marks on her skin. But then, even more interesting, is in the Frenzied Flame ending, I believe, this is my theory, because I just watched it and I was like, oh, this could be it. I think she might turn into the Glowmide Queen, the leader of the Godskins, everyone's most hated, but one of my most loved enemies and factions. So that's really interesting. So I'm hoping that's expanded on in further DLCs. Like, I really want the Godskin faction to be expanded on in a DLC because that'd be really, really cool. I love everything about the Black Flame and the Glowmide Queen. It's so cool. All right. But yeah, Melina, S tier. Millicent, again, S tier. This girl, suffering from the Scarlet Rot, found by Gowry and told she has some destiny, but she can't do anything. But you help her out with the unalloyed needle, and then she slowly tracks her steps, getting a new arm in the process, all the way back to the Haligtree, and then ends up fighting her sisters to the death. You can either help her, or you can fight with her sisters against her. Of course, you should help her. That's not a question. That's a statement. And then sadly she dies in the process. But it's like it's a noble, melancholic quest that I can't help but love. So she is an S tier. Yeah, S tier. Yeah, I wavered for a bit. I wavered. I'm sorry, Millicent. Muriel, the greatest pope to have ever lived, the Turtle Pope, Pope Man himself, dispenser of wisdom, savior of the accidentally I swung at this enemy or this NPC and now they hate me. Now, you know what? Muriel's going in B. Now, he's going in B specifically because you don't really know much about him. He's a turtle. He's a pope. Why is he there? He's lived for a long time, as he knows all of the stories about Radagon and Ranala and all of the wars that Marika waged. So he lived through them all. So he is ancient. But you don't really know anything about him personally. And so for that he's going in B. He's going in B. Nefeli, warrior, daughter, we know, of Godric. No, not Godric, jeez. Godfrey, the first Elden Lord. First found in Stormvale Castle, she helps you fight against Godric the Grafted. Technically, like a relative of hers, probably like a brother or something, like a stepbrother maybe. And then she's working for Gideon, who is taking advantage of her and using her for his own ends. And then when she gets mad that he attacked the Albinauric village and did all those horrible things, he says that she betrayed him and tries to trick her into hating herself for it. But no, you give her the ancient ash of the Storm Raven, and she's like, no, I am my own woman. And eventually follows through, meeting up with Kenneth Height and becomes the new queen or ruler of Stormvale Castle under your rule as the Elden Lord. So Nefeli gets a B. Nefeli gets a B. Patches. Okay, Patches. A. Patches. Again, just like the Dung Eater, and just like in every other FromSoft game, he is the villain you love to hate. He's just so much fun, always kicking you down places, always taking advantage of you in some way that's easily avoidable because it's Patches, but you want to do it anyway, right? Some people enjoy killing him as soon as they see him. Some people love following through his story. It's great. And even here, his story is more interesting, I feel like, than a lot of other ones, where he becomes infatuated with the leader of the Volcano Manor, Tanith, and almost like gives up on his, me above everyone else ways, almost sacrificing himself. His story with Tanith isn't done, I know that. So, I think Patches did very well in Elden Ring, and I like his character arc. So let's see where it goes now with him and Tanith. Ranni. Fucking S tier. Ranni, of course, S tier. Fucking girl boss Ranni, right? Ranni, not the full moon queen, what's her full title? Ranni, priestess. What is it? It's not just Ranni the witch. But anyway, Ranni. Empyrean. One of the few Empyreans. One of the few people the greater will have chosen to take over from Marika, possibly. And not only that, one of the orchestrators of the Night of Knives absolutely hates the Outer Will's guts and fights against it at every opportunity, to the point where the Greater Will has tried to send assassins to kill her, and she has this grand plan to fully renounce the Greater Will, and I believe pretty much allow semi-chaos back into the world so that, people can make their own decisions. I love her. And, she also renounced her rune, which I believe is on the moon. So I think if you look at the moon in the game, you can see the faint outline of a rune, and I believe that is Rani's. And I mean, the internet can back me up here. Rani is S tier. Everyone loves Rani. Alright? Now, Ranala. Ranala, C tier. Mostly because she used to be badass. Like, she would be a bit lower, as she is now, for sad reasons. But we know that in the past, she was a badass. Right? And you see that in the second phase of her boss fight, where she absolutely Kamehamehas everyone's ass first time around. It's great, and it's such a gorgeous fight. It's so good. And you know she's strong, because she stood toe-to-toe with Radagon, aka Marika, in Radagon form. It's nuts. If she, a mortal, can do that against a god, she must have been boss when she was at her peak. So for that she's going C. For that she's going C. Rodrika, A. Straight up. Rodrika, she's A. Easy. She starts off unsure. She came over here on boat to join with the Grafted, because that seems to be their weird religion. I don't know, but she's too afraid. But then she finds her way to the Round Table Hold, and she has this strange... It seems like she has a skill with spirit ashes and listening to them, and she can then level up your spirit ashes, make them stronger. It's great. And she almost becomes a surrogate daughter to our main man, Hugh. To that main man. And their story is just so melancholic, how she stays with him to the bitter end. Such a loyal character. I love it. A tier, 100%. Rogier. Another lore hunter, the lore man. Lore Master Supreme. He is going in B. Interesting character. Like, awesome, like, cool little design. His story, regardless of whether you go through with it or not, how he actually finds his way all the way down to the bottom of Stormvale, sees the like growth of Godfrey, and somehow loses his legs. I don't know, did he try to fight the fucking thing? Jesus Christ. Then if you also follow his storyline, that's how you learn a lot more about the Knight of Knives, the Knight of Black Knives, and more about Rani's involvement with that. It's an interesting man. I would like to be friends with him, but sadly he has passed on. Raya, S tier. S tier. Most wholesome character in the entire game. Now, Raya is 100% S tier, right? She's just so wholesome. All she wants to do is help. She scouts around finding people to join the Volcano Manor, and she knows something's going on, and you find out what's happening in the Volcano Manor, you tell her, and she is beside herself. Like, she hides her true self as well behind this veneer of being human when she's an adorable snake lizard thing, because she knows people will make fun of her. It's so sad. I'll be your friend, Raya. And then, of course, there's, like, the whole artist thing at the moment, where turning the Volcano Manor into the most wholesome family ever, which we'll get into more with some of the other characters. But yeah, Raya is the daughter that everyone protects. No one dislikes Raya. No one. Celovus, fucking F tier. Get out of here. You are trash. You turn people into puppets. You have a weird fetish. I am not here to king shame anyone, but Celovus, get the fuck out. Selen, A tier. She has an interesting story where she is kicked out of Raya Lucaria for researching too deep into ancient primal glintstone sorceries. And then she's sent all the way back to Limgrave, where I believe she's captured and held hostage in one dungeon, but then she sends out like an image of herself to another dungeon, which is where you find her. Following through her storyline, Jaron tries to track her down and kill her, but all she wants to do is, perfect the sorceries. And then, of course, as how most characters and stories end in Dark Souls, it ends incredibly sadly, where I think she flew too close to the sun and she turns into one of those giant face balls, but she's still partly conscious because she can recognize you as her apprentice. It's incredibly sad, and I really wish we could avoid that fate somehow. But great character, A tier. Shibriri. Now, this character, we don't know much about him. He takes over Yura's body. He is, I believe, the first person to, in history, like in the past, in the lore of the game, to serve the Three Fingers and the Frenzied Flame. But apart from that, we don't know much. He tries to sell you on the glories of Shibriri and the Three Fingers, but apart from that, doesn't really do anything. So for that, he's going in D. Mostly because I know there's probably more interesting things about him that we could find out, but we don't know. And everything we see is not enough to pull him past D. Ooh, nice rhyme. Now, Tanith. Tanith, interesting character. The consort of Rykard, Praetor Rykard, who is from a distant land that Rykard traveled to, saw her, fell in love instantly, and they seem to have an incredibly strong relationship. Like, he was able to convince her to marry him, come back over to here. She's followed him through thick and thin, such a loyal wife. She's doing all of this for him. And then once he dies, spoiler, she actually starts eating him so that he can regrow and come back stronger. I mean, come on. That is wife material right there. So she is going in B. B. The Great Jar. Don't know why he's on the list. He doesn't talk. You talk to him. You find 3 summon spots. You kill those 3 summons. You talk to him again. He doesn't say anything, but he gives you a little trinket. Apart from that, I mean, he's cool. He's a giant jar, but that's it, right? Thops. Sad man Thops. University student Thops. Poor university student Thops. Anyone who has been to university or college, as you Americans call it, and is either at university or college right now, will understand Thops and his just lack of money. He's just a poor man wanting to go back to school, been locked out by accident, and he just wants to get back. And of course, he may be, down on his luck now, but he has an incredibly good discovery. He's got one of the best anti-magic spells in the game that can reflect basically anything. He's a genius. He's just not appreciated in his time. So for that, Thops, you're going in B. Because, man, you are underappreciated. Underappreciated. Va. Servant to Mog, Lord of Blood. First person you talk to, really. Like, first NPC outside of cutscenes. Calls you maidenless. He is the start of the meme. He was the meme creator. And then if you follow him through, he's such a interesting way of talking, where he's just kind of prodding and poking to see does this person actually like the 2 fingers? Like, oh, what do you think of the 2 fingers? And then if you respond with, oh, they were great, they're amazing, he's like, oh yeah, totally, they're so good. I love them to death personally. But then if you go, you know what, I wasn't actually impressed, he's like, yes, see, you're a person of interest. I love his little conniving ways. Plus, he fights with a fucking bag of roses. I mean, come on, that's pretty cool. So, you know what? Va, you're going in B as well. And last one, Yura. Again, a character we don't know much. He seems to fight against other invaders. He's fighting against the Volcano Manor and any Tarnished that would kill other Tarnished. A very noble pursuit. A noble pursuit, I must say. But, he helps you fight off one person and then apparently dies and gets turned into Shibriri, or Shibriri takes over his body in some way. I don't know. So, the fact that we don't really know much about him, I'm going to put him in C. And that is the NPC tier list. It's not a NPC tier list, it is the NPC tier list. This is the tier list that everyone should use. This is pure correct, absolute 100% perfection. Mwah. And with that, with this knowledge imparted on you from me, I will leave you with this image. Bye, everybody. Cheese. Ah! I'm still here.